The following program is brought to you by our Patreon supporters. For as low as $1 a month, you can get episodes of Journey of Wrestling a week early and more. You too would become cool, just like our Trash Elite, Rob and a guy from Ohio, Passion Killer 711, DG, Destrucity KTL, Kitty Holbrook, Thomas Austin Jr., and Drake Starstorm.
Nice.
Yes, it's quite nice, in fact. What the hell is this? Greetings and Salutations podcast. This is Eric J. Chucky, joined as always by the boy.
I kind of like referring to the listener as podcast.
I was not what.
No,
I even did like the old intro. Guys, this new intro fucks me up so much.
Well, you gotta figure it's like 10 years of one thing, and then you swap it.
I swapped it for something else for like a year, 2 years, and then and now this, and I don't.
Look, we're still in the we're figuring it out.
We're figuring it out.
We've been doing this for 10 years. We're figuring it out.
Yeah, this newfangled podcasting thing. It got popular during the pandemic. It's not our fault.
We've been here since 2014
on YouTube, the non-podcast network. Anyway,
really just bad at podcasts and have been for a long time, but you're here anyway, and we appreciate that.
And there's more of you than there used to be, and we're glad to see and hear from you.
Absolutely.
This week we're talking about AEW Grand Slam Australia, a glorified episode of Collision, in that it was not even listed separately from Collision on HBO Max. It's just Max now.
Yeah, AEW does this occasionally. They'll make a random episode. AEW Fire and Blood or whatever the fuck, because they got a sponsorship from Game of Thrones. This is like that. They went to a special place. They went to a different country, so they're doing special stuff about it. That's all it is.
Some people think that this was originally supposed to be a pay-per-view, and then they didn't sell enough tickets, and so they didn't make it a pay-per-view.
Smart.
Yeah, I'm not going to get too deep into all that. Before we do talk about this show, we need to discuss.
We gotta discuss it.
We gotta discuss what's crumpin'.
What's crumpin'? Time for discussion.
I'm not sick anymore. I'm just delirious.
Oh.
What's been crumpin' with you, my guy?
I am very poorly today. Stupid, and I hate everything and everyone.
That's rough, buddy.
Charles Darwin, the turtle-eating goat. That's right, Garwin. I said it.
I was going to let you go.
Nope. Absolutely not.
Fucking Return on the Mac on our homeboy Beast Boy.
Fuck. Listen. What's crumpin'? Marvel Rivals. That's what's crumpin'. We've been playing it. We've been playing it a fair amount. What's crumpin'? Nothing else.
One of the idiots at this table may have made a small return to League of Legends.
It wasn't me. And it wasn't this statue of Ronald McDonald.
Which one? I have several.
Or that one. Or that one.
I can explain.
Uh-huh.
I just really hate my computer's security. No, I've been struggling with getting into characters lately. And I remembered the last time I really got excited about like fictional characters was when I was playing League. And against my better judgment, I decided to give it a shot, and damn it, it's working. So here we are. I've only played one actual live match. It was an Aram. I can't remember the last time I played an actual regular match of League. I have no real intention of doing that. The toxicity is too palpable. But
as a former League of Legends player, a recovering League of Legends player, you're always a League of Legends player. It's just a matter of how long you've been in recovery.
Keep coming back. It works.
Fucking, I guess not.
I keep coming back. It works.
They're the worst people. They're genuinely awful people to be around. Someone was kind of mean in chat in a game of Marvel Rivals, and I reported him, and he got perma'd, and then they told me that immediately. It took like a day.
League used to do that. I don't know if they still do.
No, they used to like pretend to do that. Nobody... No, there's no way they could have actually been punishing all the shitty people, because if so, some of them would have stopped being shitty.
China's got a lot of people in it, bro.
It's just fucking, oh my god. They're the worst fan base. And they haven't gotten better, as I understand it.
No.
They've actually gotten worse somehow.
But it's the ancillary stuff I like. Looking up stuff about a character and just getting hype about stuff, I miss that. I miss being able to do that.
Playing Arams, playing Earth, playing, the subsequent modes, TFT, with your homeboy Smeech.
Yeah, Smeech is the best. Eventually we will be doing a podcast on Arcane. I'll have to finish Arcane for that. Time defeats us all. You know what time doesn't defeat? Things that are timeless. I am officially better at segues than that idiot Will Ospreay.
Or Kenny Omega.
Well, sure, yeah. That's not hard. So yeah, AEW Grand Slam Australia. This was, I will say, though short, otherwise a pay-per-view quality card.
Yeah, it was a super card. That was really absolutely... They nailed the vibe on this. I understand they had to move venues because turns out Australians don't like AEW that much. And that's sad. But,
it was still a larger venue.
I didn't want it to be... I mentioned this during our podcast on the Royal Rumble. It feels cartoonish for a wrestling show to take place in one of the gigantic fucking football arenas. It feels silly. Because the ring is so small, and if you're on the upper deck, you're just watching TV with other people.
Yeah.
So, maybe I have become a complete indie smart. Because, I don't know, it just feels less intimate the bigger the arena gets. And you can't hear the crowd as well. It feels very flat.
I've always felt that way about concerts. And, I mean, what is wrestling but, a concert of the flesh?
Wild statement.
How, well, you can quote me on that.
Crazy work.
I'm nut bars. I'm the modern Charles Darwin. I'll eat your fucking tortoise.
I think you'll find his name is Charles Darwin.
Sorry, my bad. I love Raven's legs.
Hey, me too, bud.
That's right. I'm quoting the Teen Titans Go canon. Y'all can get fucked. Yeah. So when I go to concerts, I prefer small venues, small shows. I've been to a couple of big ones. I've been to a couple of outdoor festivals, and I went to one very large indoor concert in a basketball arena. I can't see shit. What's the point?
I have been to 2 concerts in my life. One at a small venue and one at a very small venue. And I liked both of them a lot because I could see the fucking band. In one case, I was literally... It was me. I was chest against the stage because it was such a small venue. There wasn't even a railing. That ruled.
We solved the mystery that day.
We did. It was great. Yeah. But I can't fathom what but this feels like the biggest arena I really want wrestling in at this stage in my life for me to enjoy it. For the people making it, I want it to be in the biggest arenas possible because that makes them more money and I want them to do well.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not springing for wrestling tickets anyhow. We have a complicated existence as far as that goes. So, I guess that doesn't matter. I see it on my TV anyway. But, yeah, this was a high-quality card. Actually, the last month or so, since the new year, the booking in AEW has really taken off for me again. And I've actually... See, this ties in to what I was saying about what I've been crumping. I've been enjoying the characters. Guys like Will Hobbs are back. And I've been able to get into... They've put in the Outrunners in more stuff now. Just a lot of personalities I actually care about are getting good TV time, and it's been really exciting. Just even having Kenny Omega back. Kenny Omega is involved with one of my least favorite people on the roster as his tag team partner in the most tired long-term storytelling we have in this Fed, except for maybe the feud between Swerve and Keith Lee. Jury's out if that's ever going to get resolved or not. And I'm still just glad to see him there cutting his half-assed promos with so much earnest charisma.
Speaking of, first match, Kenworth Omegle and Will Ospreay versus the Don Callis family, specifically Fletcher and Takeshita.
It says with Mark Davis on the Wikipedia entry. I don't remember him being there.
He showed up with them in the entrance.
Oh, okay.
Like, he wandered out behind Don Callis by, like, a goodly margin. Just sort of...
And then went home?
Like, basically, he wasn't involved at all. He was just there. Physically present. As he is contractually obligated in storyline to be.
Well, I figured, maybe he's just near home, so... This was a really good match athletically. It was probably, in terms of, like, skill, the best match on the card. Actually, I'm not even going to say probably. It was.
Yeah, in terms of actual tech, in terms of, like, wrestling, this was the best match on the card. And that's with Kenny operating at, generously speaking, 70%.
He was missing some steps. I can't tell if he gassed out or was just not communicating well.
Trying to sell, or...
It's hard to say.
But he was not all the wheels were back on the wagon. We'll put it like that.
It was still really good, though.
Yeah, 70% of a Kenny Omega is better than 80% of every wrestler to ever live.
Will Ospreay did one of the worst pump kicks I've ever seen. I have nothing else negative to say about him in the context of the match, so I will harp on that.
He did actually harp on it. Literally every time Will Ospreay did a move after that mildly bad move, he said, dumb pump kick, stupid dumb pump kick doing dumbass.
Remember that story in Mick Foley's biography about how he was in like one of his first or second match in WWE, and he wasn't Mick Foley yet or whatever. It was like a dark match or something. And he's wrestling this actually famous guy, and the famous guy says something to him, and the only thing he heard was, watch the kick. So he decided to sell it like crazy, when in fact the point was for the kick to have missed him. That was Will Ospreay's pump kick. Takeshita didn't sell it that well, to his credit.
Just you, but like you really,
I hate Will Ospreay so much. I hate him so much.
You are developing a Nigel McGuinness tier haterade for this objectively very good professional wrestler.
I tell you what it is. It's Rise of Skywalker. Will Ospreay is Rise of Skywalker. About half of that film was brilliant. And in the ring, Will Ospreay is a master technician. I have no complaints generally about his in-ring skill, his acumen at the graps.
I would say for you personally, Will Ospreay is a solid 3-1.
Yes. That man gets on the mic and makes every worst decision possible. He's not as bad as Jay White. Jay White is like a 0 on the mic. That's not even real. That's not a thing.
I disagree pretty firmly on both those accounts. Will Ospreay and Jay White are both fine promos. Neither of them are amazing, but if I'm being completely honest with you, I consider them both to be about as good or a little better than Kenny Omega on the microphone. Kenny Omega is pretty trash at doing face promos. He's just over.
The thing with Kenny is that he just feels so genuine that it's just... it wins over. I don't know. I agree with you. I can look at this and go, this is trash, and then eat it up.
You're not... I don't disagree. I love his promos, but they're bad. They're bad, guys. They're not good. He's not good at this. I love them because he's great at wrestling, and he seems to really be so happy to be there. But in terms of, like, if I didn't know or give a shit about who Kenny Omega is, he would come across like a fucking turbo jobber every time he opens his mouth.
And that's kind of the trick with Will Ospreay. Kenny impressed me with his wrestling and his presence well before I heard him cut a promo on his own. Will Ospreay, I saw one decent match with him, and then he cut a promo on his own, and I wanted to leave. I wanted to go home.
Will Ospreay had less run up. He had less.
Yes.
He had less road
Yes.
to buy you in with his fucking astounding pro wrestling. Kenny Omega is perhaps the best pro wrestler to ever live, but not like you can't be perfect at everything.
No. This match was really good. They gave it 23 minutes, almost 24. The good guys went over because, of course, they were going to. Started the crowd off pretty hot.
So, as much as I love Will Ospreay, he was built in a lab to be my favorite pro wrestler. And I love Kenny Omega, and I'm so glad he's back. The Don Callis family kind of needed this win.
Oh, this storyline has been booked. I know you guys, I know the popular thing is to hate on the Mox stuff right now. This is the worst storyline in AEW.
I don't understand why you people hating on the Mox stuff. The Death Riders is the best thing Mox has ever done.
Sometimes Mox, the insane cult leader, is hypocritical about things. And the lack of internal consistency to his insane cult leader character upsets people.
Oh, yeah, the giant, bitchy, insane, rageful hypocrite is a hypocrite? Fucking color me shocked. What are you people? The media literacy is dead. He's not the good guy. He's not supposed to be right.
Yeah, but this storyline is terrible. They come in, Kenny and Ospreay, they put their differences aside. That was fine. They team up, beat the crap out of the entire enemy stable of like 5 supposedly very talented guys and their evil genius mastermind and his toolbox full of screwdrivers. So the bad guys have to have a meeting at their winter lodge where they get another guy
who the good guys then proceed to beat the shit out of. And then at one point the bad guys beat up one of the good guys and he doesn't stay down, and then they do that 27 more times in that one segment. I love the Don Callis family as a heel faction because consistently they're portrayed as very canny, very good. They put on great matches. It hasn't buried them, but it's not for a lack of trying.
Yeah, I mean, it's the recent changes have buried Swolverine. I don't even remember his actual name anymore. That's not even his gimmick anymore. He's just Bland Man.
He's just Brian Cage, parentheses, I guess, parentheses.
Young Lion Brian Cage.
He's been so
jacked up Bobby Roode.
They massacred my boy.
He doesn't look like anything anymore.
He's nothing now.
No. And I thought the face paint was a little much most of the time. But, like, he's just wearing black tights and is just a bearded
Swolverine
man.
is a fun gimmick. Just, like, big, jacked motherfucker who makes nerd references, that's a fun gimmick. It don't gotta be more complex than that. Why did you ruin him? Why did you take away the one thing he had that made him not replaceable bearded white man number 7?
Yeah, he is number 7, isn't he?
I felt like that was the right numero.
Yeah. Moving on from this, the match I was most excited to see, Harley Cameron, who I've been a decent fan of since her debut in AEW.
She basically makes good use of all the TV time she's ever given.
Yes, she does. Consistently delivering the best promos. Innovative, funny, talented. Not the best ring work, but she more than makes up for it with all the cool, fun stuff she does in her promos. I'm glad to see her get this "you're nothing, you need to prove you're something" feud with Mercedes Mone. However, as much as my heart wanted it, neither of us expected her to come away victorious with the TBS championship.
I desperately wanted it, but if it had happened, I would have gone, well, probably a mistake, but I'm for it.
Yeah.
She's just not there yet in terms of believability.
I think if the champ weren't Mercedes Mone,
yeah, I mean,
if she were the one up against Mariah May, 100%, that's fine. What a great story. She can have the belt for a little while, toss it to some other mean heel, and we move on with life as we do.
But Mercedes has been consistently, because Mercedes is the one who decides this, booked as fucking unstoppable once she's actually between the ropes. So Harley Cameron is just not a believable victor in that match, even if my heart wanted it very much. So right call, even if it makes me sad, to have Mercedes win.
It was still a pretty good match. Mercedes put her over pretty well.
Gave her a lot of spots, gave her a lot of time to shine, made her look real tough. Those puppets are going to sell. They're going to sell. I'm going to be honest with you. They're going to be at a merch table and they're going to sell.
Unless AEW does what they did with Penta and just doesn't make merch. Who knows? Time will tell, I guess. We then had our Brisbane Brawl with Cope and Jay White against Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli, whose luggage got lost.
We're really going with Cope. That's what's on the Wikipedia.
Yep.
Cope and Seed is his name now. It's not even Adam Copeland. It's just
been the
Cope.
plan since he got hired.
He hated having multiple initials so much that he went with a synonym for deal with a terrible circumstance.
Well, like, that's good, though. Like, I am the one who makes you cope. That's me, I'm Cope.
It's not. It's not a good name. You know how you hate the Ops?
I hate the Ops so much. It's a terrible name for that group.
I hate this. That's a bad name. That's a bad call.
The Ops is just boring.
I love the Ops.
It is descriptive.
That's such a great name for that
It's
stable.
just so...
We are the Ops. That's great. That's Dracula flow.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
And look, we disagree on these 2 points, but they are symmetrical in their vehemence.
Well, at least you agree with me that Jay White is one of the worst wrestlers in AEW. This match was pretty good, and anything the boy says after this is a lie.
White's a good friend.
Ouch, my real life feelings.
Hey, man, look, you put me in a box. I'm going to fight back. But... no, he is. And Jay White is a mid promo.
Jay White
at the absolute best of times.
Is a good pair of hands.
Yes, that's you beat me to the rest of my sentence. He is a fine pair of hands. I believe wholeheartedly that when he was in New Japan, he was good enough to be the King Switch, the champion, the fucking head of the proverbial table. I believe that. But he's not at that stage of his career anymore, and I guess he was maybe way more intimidating in Japanese. Because that accent, it is not his fault that the Kiwi accent sounds inherently silly unless your voice is very deep.
That's not even the problem I have. It's the man's word choice. If you asked this guy to ad-lib a happy birthday message, it would begin with, "Your mother is a whore."
Look, if he was still a heel, that's fine.
Sure. It's just that he's also trying to be the babiest of faces.
I don't get that. He was better as a heel. He has natural... He is maybe the case of natural heel. Not the strongest I've ever seen, but a solid case of natural heel.
And it's not like most natural heels where, like, that guy is an asshole, he gives off asshole vibes. Jay White seems like a fine man until he starts speaking words.
I'm sure he's very friendly in person,
but
sure. He comes across like a dickhead.
Yeah.
Now, it's possible that this is AEW-style booking where they don't really give a shit about face and heel, and Jay White is a dickhead. He just happens to be popular right now.
Maybe. I don't get it personally.
I mean, me neither, brother.
This was a pretty decent, what are they calling these? The plunder match.
Yeah, that's the more because I guess garbage match sounds mean.
Yes, probably. You're right. I like this. It wasn't anything over the top. It was just kind of,
It was the match it was always going to be.
Yeah.
It was they had themselves a brawl. They did a couple spots. The weird tiny Australian table got broken.
Weird tiny Australian table.
With its extremely structurally strong table
skirting.
Edges.
I believe skirting is the term.
And then the bloodline happened. And Wheeler Yuta showed up, and then they won because they had more guys.
Beat a guy with a belt.
Turns out if you have more guys than the other team, you're probably going to win.
The faces just don't get that.
I get that it's wrestling. It's almost firmament. It's almost fundamental to wrestling booking.
This originally was ostensibly supposed to be a legitimate sporting event. So when people are using their multitude of guys to cheat, that is dishonorable to the great craft of this legitimate sport, professional wrestling.
But if you're already having a no disqualification match,
yeah,
and the people you're fighting have notedly been very famous for having more guys than whoever they're fighting. One of them, in fact, made his bones as a big-time main event guy with specifically that strategy in another company. Maybe it might be good to have a plan. What if only one of the people in this tag match on the good guy side had, like, a bunch of dudes he could call in who are maybe freshly back from injury to even up the numbers? Why, that would be wonderful.
And what if the other one had recently tagged with like 2, 3, 4, 5 other guys that really seem to like him and want to go to bat for him. If only the majority of the AEW locker room hated the evil guy team specifically and wanted to kick their asses.
And, like, if only they had, you know, maybe if AEW had done a lot of work to establish that basically all of the good guys and even the other bad guys all hate these fucks and want them to die. Why then maybe, in that extremely unlikely hypothetical, we could have done something more interesting with this booking. But I understand your hands were tied. Maybe going forward, think about ways you could. This isn't even addressing in kayfabe that they were stupid for accepting this match, or even suggesting it. But they were in kayfabe. All faces are morons. Out of kayfabe, is there no way we could do better? Is there nothing we could do better?
The face half. I think that that the Death Riders are being booked brilliantly, selling their characters, selling who they are as bad guys. I think the people coming up against them usually look stupid at best. And
Orange Cassidy did this where he's like, no, I don't... And they acknowledge this in universe of all his friends going, you know they're all going to just show up and beat you up, right? I don't want any more of my friends getting hurt. I'll do it all on my own. You're not going to beat 5 other guys, man. That math ain't mathin'. Well, I'm going to do it, and then he didn't.
And that was foolish, but at least they lampshaded the situation.
Because that made him feel like principled.
It was a tragedy, the story of Orange Cassidy, the leader who never wanted to be riding in to fight the good fight he never wanted to fight.
Refusing to lead and thus failing because he has no one to back him up at his own choice. But, so, WWE books this better. This particular problem, because oftentimes... In the big thing, the thing I mentioned earlier, the bad guys would go out of their way to isolate the good guy they were fighting, to separate him from his friends, to take them out beforehand, to in the universe on camera give established reasons why they have a guy, or they would bring in a new guy that nobody knew they had. Mm-hmm. So the face would have as many people. I brought all my. I have enough guys that were tied now, so everything's back to even Stevens, and then the Bloodline would bring in a new guy.
Yeah.
They had that. They did a better job of booking that. I don't like that I'm having to say this.
No, because I hate that storyline. I don't like the Bloodline. I don't find them interesting.
I think the Death Riders are doing their end of this of this handshake really well. Whoever's writing for the babyfaces needs to step it up a little.
It reminds me a lot, and perhaps this is cynical and projecting or whatever. I'm not, this is just sort of my evaluation of this situation. It's like when children's media is lame because who cares, it's for kids. Whereas some of the standouts from our youth, Batman the Animated Series is the easy one, we loved as kids because it wasn't talking down to us. It was trying to be a genuinely entertaining form of media that is also aimed at children. Not just, shovel out whatever crap there is, who gives a shit. It's not Coco Melon.
AEW itself has done better at this in the past.
Sure.
A few weeks ago... Cope got beat up, and the reason they got away with it was because they had shown that they had already beaten up FTR separately and had tied them to chairs or whatever.
Yeah.
Great, that's good. You did it.
Maybe they're still tied to the chairs. Did anyone save FTR?
Now, to be fair, what this could have been, was Cope and Jay White thought they were safe because nobody else from the Death Riders was in Australia. Nobody else came with them. If you had established that, if you had the announcers say that, and then Wheeler Yuta shows up and it's a surprise, he caught his own flight, which is a thing I joked about during the match, then that works. Because they had reason to believe that there wouldn't be a problem, and then, there was a problem.
I say all this, and we nitpick all this, but I could see myself, and have been in similar non-wrestling related situations, where I forgot about the really obvious thing that I knew was going to happen.
And look, I say this, I booked this on Yin Chow. I have booked shit just this stupid. I'm not better than this. I liked this match. I'm just very poorly today and grumpy.
Each turtles, brother. We had Kazuchika Okada defending his Continental Championship against Buddy Matthews. I don't know a world in which Buddy Matthews was going to win this. It would have been a feather in his cap, but, like, what does Kazuchika Okada then go do?
Is this the first AEW podcast since the thing happened? Since the House of Black is gone?
I believe so, yes.
I can talk about this. The House of Black was the coolest thing in AEW. Consistently the coolest, most excellently presented in terms of like music, presentation, character. They had a middling win record, but they did have a lot of accolades to their names. Championship gold, a couple different kinds, solid reigns, all that stuff. When Malachi Black left, and they decided to repackage them, I understood. You're not going to keep naming them the House of Black when he's going to show up as Aleister Black 2 weeks from now on Raw. That would be stupid. You're giving, money to your competitor. I get it. I tried to approach Discount the Shield, the Hounds of Vengeance or whatever, as openly as I could, with a heart as open and to change as I can manage. No. It's not got the sauce. It's completely riskless.
If they had won some significant victories after separating, that's all they needed to do. And we do this in Jow all the time. If you want your wrestlers to seem like they are a credible threat, even if you never plan on giving them titles or whatever, you need them to win matches against other credible threats.
It's just like they rebranded. They did the whole big speech about how they're going to go their own way and do their own thing. And then all three separately immediately lost very important wrestling matches and came across like complete cucks.
Yeah. I mean, there's no shame in losing to Kazuchika Okada. He kicked out of the Rainmaker, which no one currently in AEW has ever done.
No. This is not that match. Buddy Matthews lost a different match before this.
Oh.
That I was talking about. This is a fair loss. He's fucking Okada. You were never going to beat him. You're Buddy Matthews.
It was around this time in the show we developed our fuck Australia theory.
Yeah, because it was at this time in the show we realized that no one from Australia had won a match.
And maybe that TK was just bitter that they had to move to a smaller venue and now he's got all this bad press, so he's like, you did this. None of the Australians win. So
you guys aren't good enough to sell out arenas, so obviously we need to put over the people who are, who I guess aren't you.
Going into the main event, I was kind of hoping Mariah May would win just because it would be funny.
Just because, I guess, if you guys aren't... We couldn't sell out the big arena, so I guess you don't have the sauce. There's no reason to put you over you're not over.
That would be the most hilariously petty booking decision. That would be Vince McMahonian booking. It was not to be. Of course, it's Tuesday. This show was on Saturday. You guys already know that Timeless Toni Storm is back. Luther's back. She's the champ again.
Wanted on a roll-up, which I disagreed with, because where does this feud go from here? You don't end a feud on a roll-up. Where do we go from here?
I mean, probably a bigger venue and a bigger match, maybe with a gimmick, but, because, I mean, people harp on this as being bad booking. I'm not trying to say that. There needs to be a rubber between them. You need to settle the score and be able to move on.
That's not always does there need to be a rubber match.
No, but I think in this situation, because I've said this for months. I said this before she won the title. What does Mariah May do after this feud?
And you think her losing another match is going to help with that?
I mean, no, but at least she's got a couple other months where she's doing something and not hanging out with Britt Baker or whatever.
How far away is Revolution?
March. Sometime in March.
So a month.
Approximately. Maybe a little less. It might be early March.
So I don't know. I would have just put it to bed here.
Same. And I have some issues with this match's choreography, if you will. in general. There was a lot of decisions that were absolutely made in the planning that I don't care for. They were not what the big babyface title win in her home country after returning from pretending to be a past version of herself after she was shamed on the grandest stage AEW has.
Yeah, I agree. Like this should have been like I said, this should have been a more solid, commanding victory for Toni, and then you put the feud away and you move on.
I don't even necessarily know you have to put the feud away here. Like, I can see the argument from the other side. I don't know that I'm that interested in the feud continuing, but, you know...
I mean, these ladies do great work together.
And it's a good opportunity to give Toni a chance to explore the new version of Timeless with something comfortable and reliable as her opposition. It might be a good way to sort of create a safety net below whatever this incarnation of the character is going to take.
A soft launch for the new version.
Sure.
She is now the first 4-time AEW Women's Champion.
I like that. I like Toni Storm. I've always believed in Toni Storm. And it makes me laugh. It makes me remember for those of you who've been here for a while and do watch our Journey of Wrestling content, Reject Wrestling, where I had Toni Storm and she was like a 1-star promo. And I said at the time, same thing with Athena, y'all hating.
Absolutely not.
But I say all this, and we give a lot of critique, but overall, I enjoyed this show. As I said at the beginning, this was a pay-per-view caliber card. The only bad thing on the show was a Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay promo that lasted maybe 2 minutes.
I didn't even think that was bad. I think it was just kind of awkward and silly, but I don't think it was bad. I'm just very crabby. I agree. This show was fun. The show was good. I'm just in a bad mood.
Do you have any final thoughts you'd like to add for AEW Grand Slam Australia or anything in general?
I'm still looking forward to what's next.